yeah, I shot those videos, and then I did started working with Heavy D. Did Now That We Found Love.
He
We
got
did,
some mad videos with
yeah,
dancers.
Blue Funk.
So you did the dancing for Now That We Found Love?
Yeah, and then did I don't even remember now. I'm trying to think. And then of course I got to do the biggest video that I will ever do and the most special, which is Remember the Time with Michael Jackson.
Killa Kela podcast. KillaKelaOfficial.com.
Street Culture TV.
Beatbox created.
Killa Kela.
And we're here to talk about world music and street culture.
Killa Kela podcast.
I'm happy that it's close.
Ladies and gentlemen, Killa Kela podcast live and direct, Central London, or as central as you need to be. Could be, should be. Heaven forbid you be anywhere else. You don't need to be. It's not worth your time. Too expensive. And yeah, you just don't get any value like you do over here. Over 600 podcasts, to say the least. We continue to serve you in the world of street culture. Okay, people, our sponsors, the mighty GK Nifty Heads, have 10,000 play-to-earn GraffPunks NFTs to give away. Get ready as London's white trash goes blockchain digital with Bitcoin Cash tokens locked into them to claim. Get yourselves over to the website gkniftyheads.com and play to earn now. In this world of street culture, there are many people that pass through as guests, and it's an esteemed pleasure. Part of Elite Force, currently on tour, doing his thing, but recognised across the globe for his dance, action, hip-hop antics. Movement is his game, and popularity across the global sphere over the ages. This is what it's all about. Bro Stretch, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How
Good
are
to
you?
see you.
Pleasure to be here.
How's it been? What's been happening?
It's been good. I've been running through Europe for the last 2 weeks, teaching, judging, representing the culture.
That's crazy.
Different places.
That's crazy. The brand Buddha Stretch goes so far. I mean, I think some of the more early inceptions for my money was Michael Jackson, the Michael Jackson video. And do you ever think about your trajectory and look into it from a a wider view of this how this would ever play out, and from these early inceptions of you getting into the dance?
I laugh at it actually all the time.
Do you?
Because I always say this to people, but if I could go back, if I went back and I told my younger self that I'd be doing a podcast in the UK now,
Yeah.
my younger self would literally punch me in the face.
Get the f out of here.
Exactly. Or just tell my younger self that you're going to work with different artists, you're going to tour the world, you're going to teach, you're going to have students, you're going to have school, there's no way I would believe anything that if someone told me this, I would punch them in the face, and it would be a straight up, get the fuck out of here.
And this is the
in
thing,
no way,
see,
shape, or form.
And you've got such a breadth of history, almost like the tick box of the things you've done within dance as a whole. To a lot of people that'd just be one lane. They'd be like, yeah, I've done what I've had to do here. Now yours is just like octopus arms of like madness. Let's get into it from the start. Where did it all begin for you, brother?
It started with me in Brooklyn, New York. I started with popping because I had watched a television program called Soul Train, and I'd seen the different dances on there, imitated them, growing up. I didn't actually want to dance. What got me into the dance was we had a block party on where two of my aunts lived, and one of my cousins from the South was visiting, and they had like a dance cipher, and these kids were doing popping, and I was like, wow, that's the dance from Soul Train. And I was like, wow, how do they know it? How did they get so good? Because, unlike now where you have access to video 24/7, if you saw the episode of Soul Train, you saw it that one time, and you had to absorb what you saw then, and you might not see it again for a while. So for me, it was amazing to see these kids doing the dance that I saw on TV. But what was even more amazing was my cousin suddenly jumped out into the cipher, and now he's doing the dance, and everyone's cheering, and I'm like,
Stop it.
and I'm like, how the fuck
How
did
did
he?
even get in there?
How did he know? How does he know anything about this dance? So that was my inspiration to get into the dance. And after that, I found that getting into the dance meant getting into the music. And once I got into the music, I couldn't stop. I started to understand how important music, music is, and how important music, my relation to music and dance became in my life.
So it was first dance, then the music. The music can carry any which number of ways, can't it? But when you associate particular dances with particular moments, like Soul Train, well, then it becomes all of a sudden it's like an opening, a filtering system that where these genres come from and how these movements work within these.
Well,
genres.
it was really funny for me because I loved music my whole life. My parents played music, my family played music my whole life. But I didn't understand the music that I was listening to until I started dancing. And, as you said, when you hear a particular piece of music and there's a dance associated with that music, every time you hear that music, now you think and feel of that dance. And that became, for me, the thing. Once I got inundated into the dance and recognizing the music, it made me listen and appreciate the music even more. And then starting to understand a lot of the music that I'm hearing when I go out is stuff that my parents played. And I'm like, I know this music. And growing up, I didn't care for the music, but now suddenly it's everything to me.
Your experience must be like 3D compared to us 2D non-dancers. This is like, you've seen the whole thing, like 3D dimensions with AI expert fucking technology. Do you know what I mean? Just because you know the movements to the dance. And,
Right.
And you've adopted it through the movement. What a crazy scenario. And I've never thought about it like that.
To quote the great Tyrone the Bone Proctor, Soul Train dancer and pioneer of whacking, God bless the dead.
God bless.
He taught and always that dance is a three-dimensional representation of how the music feels.
See, that didn't come. That was the divine right there, coming right from the man himself. That is incredible. What a romantic analogy. That is something else, isn't it? What was New York like for its time? Give me a rough kind of picture of New York of its time.
For me, a great part of New York that is no longer happening is the block party. A block party originally was a way to meet your neighbors. So you have a block association of different neighbors that set a date, cordon off the block so there's no traffic, and your neighbors, everyone came out, brought food, and you had, this is how you met your neighbors. And then, of course, black people have to introduce music into any equation, and so the block party became what we refer to now as the cookout. And and you had the cookout, and everybody brought different foods, and you shared food with your neighbors, and you had conversation with the person that you see that lives up the block, but you've never actually spoken to.
So this was its inception of block parties.
Yeah, this is where block parties actually happen. And then, when music is introduced, of course, dance is introduced. And then with the advent of hip-hop, now you have block parties with DJs coming out and playing music consistently. well, even before the advent of hip hop, let me go back to the advent of disco and even soul music. So this became a thing where, you know, the block party became an actual party. And now you had people not only on your block, but from other blocks that would come. And when they had their block party, you would go to their block. And it became a means of knowing the people in your neighborhood. And especially with hip hop, with the dance, now you're going from block to block dancing and you're meeting different dancers. And you're introducing what you know to what they know, and then you're taking what you've learned from them back to your block. And then that
Internet, my friends.
that and this is what I try to teach this generation. This was our original social network. This is how we met each other. This is how we discussed. We had conversations. This is how you met people in different neighborhoods, in different boroughs, in different places. And you learned, I'm from Brooklyn, so when I went to the Bronx, I saw how the Bronx got down. So when I came back to Brooklyn, I told them, yo, I was here, and they do things like this. And then, you know, we try, again, it's you're trying to absorb as much as possible and transfer that into what you do, add that to your repertoire. And it happens the same way in other places. When you go somewhere and you bring your thing, they're like, oh, these dudes from Brooklyn, they dance like this, and they, you know, they rap like this, and they dress like this. So it's you know, that's how the culture became what it is.
It's insane. When did the Jamaican influence of the music kick in?
Uh,
The sound system.
The sound system thing, well, first off, the sound system thing was there early, but that was a disco thing. What Kool Herc brought was, he brought the idea of the Jamaican sound system having a sound system that's superior to anything else. So that when you bring your system out, everyone knows it's you, and you're heard for blocks and blocks. Before, you know, they always had, again, at block parties, people will come out and play music. But with the advent of the sound system, now you're competing against other people's sound system. You're having your block party, and you have, you know, 3-4 other neighborhoods away can hear your music, and then people are like, what is that? And so that became, you know, that's the idea behind what they had in Jamaica with the sound clash. You know, Herc introduced that part of it as, you know, this is my system. They're called the Hercules, you know, and
I love it.
And he introduced the system and then the particular way that he DJ'd. And that is what the impetus for what becomes hip-hop culture.
Did you see her play?
Yeah, I've been in a...
And Grand Wizard Theodore and all them lot?
Well, I didn't see him in the beginning because that's all the way in the Bronx, and I was little.
Yeah, little.
I met him later in the late '90s, early 2000s, and I'd seen him play. Actually, was at an event where he provided the sound system and DJ. So and I've met him a few times.
It's just, again, you know, I'm only speaking through documentation and a rather sepia version of that in my head. It's the idea that, you know, the world was in such a crazy place. New York was in such a crazy place, and through this, these crazy adverse effects and social tensions, suddenly came these, you know, the dance, the movement, the body popping, the breaking, you know. There is a certain environment, there's a certain temperature that these things suddenly cook at. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the things that people need to understand that these things come out of pressure.
Yes.
You know, and that pressure was oppression. You know, in the 70s, what people don't understand is we were in an economic crisis in America. And New York City, in of itself, had run out of money, and so the country was going through some things, and with oil and prices and inflation, and New York City couldn't balance their budget, and so the poor people suffered the most, and so the culture comes out of that. The idea of we don't have a place for to learn music. So we take the music that we have and we make something out of that. We have no place, where we have a voice. We have no place for music, so we have no place for singing or anything else. So we have to create a voice for ourselves, and we used what Rakim beautifully referred to as rhythm and poetry. And then, through the advent of the DJ and the rhythm and poetry, you needed a visual representation of that. And so that's where your writing, or as people know it as graffiti, comes in. Because now, not only are you, hearing the story, but you're seeing the story that goes along with it. And then, of course, the physical representation of what's happening was the dance.
Stretch, what was it about? What was it about the dance that kept? These are multiple lanes of creative outlet. But what was it about the dance? What was it significantly within this burgeoning generation, this new generation of hip hop? What was it? Was it the versatility of it, where you could mix medium almost within the dance? What was it? What was the thing?
The thing about the dance is it's with what we call hip hop freestyle, or freestyle hip hop. The advent of that comes after breaking, because breaking was over commercialized and looked at as a fad. But the people who still wanted to dance still kept that outlet. And the dance just went back into the nightlife, club life. But now you have to be able, you have what the elders call the time where you partied, and then there's the time for the go off. Well, the second go round of that is now you're in the club and you have the same time. There's a time in the party which you're dancing with the ladies and you're trying to get that attention that you need. And then there's a time for the go off, when the DJ is going to drop a particular song where oh, I got to go off now.
It's on.
And then that leads to the same thing that it led to originally with breaking. Battles. It leads to competitions, but it leads to self-expression. At this moment, to this record, I'm the baddest motherfucker in this club.
Talk to me about the zone on that. Talk to me about the energy in that, because this man's done some battles. All right, you could tell by the tone in which he's explaining this, the emotional attachment to it. Talk to me about that zone. Talk to me about the zone in which you go into.
Well, what happens is, again, the reason why we danced the way that we did is because the ladies loved it. It was a nonverbal communication.
Not to mention the free drinks as well, if you do something particular.
Well, yeah, as I tell people all the time, my first gig that I got, a regular dancing gig, was in a club called Union Square. And when they told me that they wanted me to dance on the stage and put together the show each week, and they would pay me, and I got a guest list and free drinks, and in my mind, I was like, you're going to pay me for what I used to pay you to do? Like, we come here every week and put on a show for everyone, for the girls, and now you're going to pay me to do that on stage? So in my mind, it was just like, oh, hell yes. Why wouldn't I do
Fair
it?
transaction, I'm in.
Exactly. So now it's like, not only do I get to dance and show off, but I get paid for it, and I only have to do it on the stage now. But the pressure with that is each week you got to do something different. And so that was the inspiration and an impetus for creativity and coming up with different ideas and different aspects of the dance for each week. One week we might do a combination of hip hop, and we might mix some popping in. And then the next week we'll mix some breaking in, and then the next week we'll mix some soul or salsa. We were just throwing things together on that stage to present something that people hadn't seen. And that was the creativity behind it. And then also what people don't understand is after you get off the stage and you've performed, there are people waiting there to step to you like, oh yeah, you was dope up there, but down here, this is our time. And we come off the
Damn.
stage like, oh no, it's not. This is our spot.
So they're going to try and take your spot, and then you've been there, and you've already knackered,
Yeah.
you're already tired out, and
And no, we were ready.
You want more?
We were like, we get paid to do this. You're a
Yeah,
spectator.
yeah.
You can't do this like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
do
yeah.
this. And we were prepared because we had our routines and our choreography for other shows. So if we got, a challenge from any other dancers, we were prepared for that because we were already battling people in the clubs before we got on stage. So now that we're on the stage and now we have more routines than ever, we always ready to dance. And that led to other opportunities because the producers, directors that came to the club, with this burgeoning new culture where they're now it's being transmitted through not just the club life, but now this thing called music videos. And they're like, I want this on video. Can you do this with this artist? And we're like, yeah, of course. And so that was the transition where now what this generation has with Instagram and TikTok, that was our time with MTV and BET and Video Music Box and what was it, the other thing called the box where you could order the music video that you wanted. So it was,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So you were right on the time, right place. What videos did you get into on early stages? What?
One of the very first music videos that I did was never released. It was for a song called Eric B. is President with Eric B. and Rakim. We shot it at Long Island University.
They actually had a video?
Yeah, they actually shot a video for that, but it was a low budget video, so they didn't release it.
Damn.
And then the next video that we shot live in the club called Union Square is called Live at Union Square with Boogie Down Productions.
Yeah.
KRS-One.
Cool.
The Bridge is Over live at Union Square. And so we shot that. And then the first music videos that I ever did that were, of high caliber were with the rap group Houdini. Shout out to Jalil, God bless Ecstasy, Grandmaster D.
Absolutely.
And we shot 2 music videos with them, one called Be Yourself, where they had their single with, I think, Millie Jackson, and then another one called Rock You Again and Again. And then I did the next music video I did was with Jody Watley with Eric B. and Rakim called Friends. And then we did, I did Heavy D's, We Got Our Own Thing video. Shout out to Rosie Perez.
Wow.
And we shot, Summertime with Dougie Fresh. We shot with background singers for I'll Be Sure, a group called The Girls. Jam If You Can. I did a video with Salt and Pepper called, Expressions, Express Yourself.
Wow.
I was actually at a bunch of Salt and Pepper videos, but I wasn't in them. I was there when they shot Everybody Get Up and I forgot the other video. But yeah, I shot those videos and then I started working with Heavy D. Did Now That We Found Love.
He got some mad videos with dancers.
Yeah, Blue Funk.
So you did the dancing for Now That We Found Love?
Yeah, and then did I don't even remember now. I'm trying to think. And then of course I got to do the biggest video that I will ever do, and the most special, which is "Remember the Time" with Michael Jackson. Shout out to Fatima Robinson, and
Insane.
after doing that, for me, I felt like it's all downhill. It's never gonna be this good
You hit the
after
precipice,
Michael.
the peak.
But I was wrong because I got to do Men in Black with Will, and that was an actual movie. And so I was just like, wow. And then, I got to do a bunch of videos. I did a bunch of videos with Mariah. I did Dream Lover, Honey, Fantasy.
Oh, give me a...
I can't even remember all of the videos. We did a lot of videos with Mariah, and we toured with her for over a decade. And I did. I don't even remember all of the stuff that I've done, but I've done a lot of music videos over time, and it became our thing. Like, if you wanted the dance at this particular level,
Bang, bang.
you hired our crew. And we showed up and showed out.
With what you're saying there, because I'll go through a similar sort of mindset, because what you've just kind of hurled vernacular over the period of that time is you've talked about things that are almost like one big clusterfuck of everything in a condensed version, and you're definitely missing some bits out. You're kind of, scenic skirting around certain scenarios and how that played out, and there's probably some more stuff within the stuff you were talking about, and it's all of such rich cultural value, but the way you explain it is so, this happened, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's a timeline. So that's how I look at it. Like, I look at it as a timeline of events that happened, and this thing led to this, and this led to that, and that led to that, and it's just an ongoing timeline.
But we're talking about the 80s and 90s where things like that don't readily, this was like 12 degrees of separation, not 3 like you have now. This isn't like your normal timeline, right? So, and I'm not suggesting you said it in a blasé kind of way, but this is a matter of fact. So how do you ever, and this is what a lot of people will be asking right now, how, I mean, it's a good man here. He knows, how to conduct and be in the moment. But how on earth do you get yourself in them moments?
Well, first and foremost, I met, as I said, I started in this club called Union Square. I danced in 3 different clubs. I got paid to dance in 2 of them. One is called Union Square. The other was called the Latin Quarter. And then we used to just dance in a club called the Rooftop. Now, this is at the what is called the start of what they refer to as the golden era of hip hop. And so at these clubs, we're doing the performances for all of these rappers, these new rappers.
Got you.
And so with the advent of music videos, we're meeting the directors as they're starting out, and these new companies that are trying to create these videos to get on MTV and to get on BET and Video Music Box. And so we are at the forefront of the dance, and we've done these performances in the clubs. And then, again, I toured with Houdini. So on the tour with Houdini, I toured with Houdini, LL Cool J, Eric B. and Rakim, Public Enemy, Dougie Fresh, Stetsasonic, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. And so I meet all of these artists at the beginning of their careers, some of them. And so as the dance spreads with this tour, and then you have the advent of the music videos, we're the first people that you see in these videos, or some of the first, if not the actual first. And then you're seeing myself and my crew in these videos. You're seeing us on tour. You're seeing us in the clubs. So it's like that became the impetus of, we need to hire these guys. And then once we did one thing good.
Snowball effect.
It's a snowball effect because now we're meeting you're meeting record execs, you're meeting producers. We're going to industry functions where it's an industry party. Like shout out again to who is mostly responsible, who we give credit to as to the formation of our crew Mob Top, which is Rosie Perez. She takes us to the premiere party for Do the Right Thing. And she introduces us to Spike, and we meet all these other people. Now, at this premiere party, you got industry people, and they're, smoking, schmoozing, but then the DJ throws on Public Enemy, and we hear pump, 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 pump. And of course, we're dancers, so as soon as the beat drop, we're on the floor and we're dancing.
Strength formation.
Yeah,
No
and
fucking
now
way.
everybody's like, oh, and now the dance floor is packed because we started the dance. And now we're meeting all these people and like, who are these guys? And then Rosie says, these are my friends. They're dancers and blah, blah. So
Ultimate guerrilla marketing going on here. It's like,
Yeah.
right, Stretch, you guys get over there. Right, to park it. Wait for XYZ just to come on and
but
go.
it happened, as we would say now, organically. We didn't do it. We weren't, thinking, oh, we're going to do this.
Course
It
not.
was just like,
Yeah.
hey, they playing music.
Yeah.
Rosie brought us to the party.
Yeah,
Let's
go.
party.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think a lot of that as well is initiative. In more contemporary genres now, 2025, whenever you're watching a program, you understand. You can't go back, you can only go forward. So, in line with that, there is a lot of removing of dance moves and things. Of course, you go to hip hop clubs and things, you go to break dance events, you go to all
Right.
sorts of, there's dance going on. But, with like British genres like grime or drill, there isn't this kind of openly self-expressive way in which you go off.
Right.
It doesn't yield that. That music is more, head down rather than hands up. So it's about finding those moments within a genre and that perfect spot. Because if you align a style of dance to the style of music, that's the way. That's the opening for industry, right?
Well, I think it's not even finding it. It happens, it should happen naturally because, as with all music, music is the inspiration for the dance. So I just think you have a mindset of people that feel like if you hear a certain kind of music, you're supposed to do a certain kind of thing, and that's not exactly true. Because if you play drill or grime in America, in the South, they'll start doing a dance called Memphis juking, or they'll start doing what we call in New York flexing or turfing in the Bay. There's a dance, there's movement to every kind of music.
Stop it.
And the problem is people limit themselves by thinking that they can't move, but you're
Tempos.
supposed to move.
Working with the tempos.
The music is supposed to move you, and that's what should naturally, organically happen.
Oh God, I love that. Okay. You are throwing me off with the knowledge, man. Talk to me about that moment, because like you say, you went into, the Mariah Careys and, the Do the Right Things and the Heavy D's and, but the Michael Jackson one, obviously, that's commercially that was a real moment. Talk to me about that experience of working with Michael.
As I tell when people ask me, the greatest experiences in my life are the birth of my daughters, and then Michael's right below that. And so, just first off, meeting Michael Jackson, the first thing that he does is he shakes my hand, and because we're at rehearsal and we're in the corner, working on the choreography when he comes in, and Fatima calls me over to meet him, and I'm just like, oh shit, it's Michael Jackson. And he shakes my hand, and he's like, he had been watching for like 30 minutes, and I didn't know he was there. And now he's asking all these questions about what we were doing and how he likes this movement and that movement. And, do my clothes factor into how I create?
Oh,
And
stop.
does my hair get in the way? Is that why I have on a baseball cap? And how do I combine this style and that style? Because he sees a little bit of this and a little bit of that in what I'm doing, and he's asking all of these questions while still holding my hand. And I'm thinking to myself, Michael Jackson's interrogating me. And I'm like, why is he asking me anything? You're a Michael Jackson. I should be asking you questions.
Mad.
But that's how much of a perfectionist and how much his work ethos was. He wanted to know as much as humanly possible to add to his repertoire. to
Retaining
keep it-
information.
yes, so that he can, expand his repertoire in what he's doing. And for me, that was the lesson. Like, if this dude who's on top of the food chain is still trying to climb, you have no excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Remember the Time video? It was, a feast for the eyes of just dance and rhythm. What album? Dangerous. Was it Dangerous?
Dangerous, yeah.
So we're talking about 92.
92.
Cool, I said 92, I did it! Woo! Yeah. I remember that particularly because I remember Slash was on, it was a music video, Give In To Me, that wasn't released in the States, but it was over here in the UK and Europe, and Slash was in it. It was a real Ford drive, actually, with this collaborative thing, like merging different styles and genres, and it was a beautiful moment. With Michael, there's always this suggestion that, particularly for the moonwalk, for instance, that was slightly plagiarised and came from somewhere else, and he didn't call it the moonwalk, but he let it run. But it's this magpie of kind of.
Well, the thing about it is he learned the backslide or the moonwalk from watching Soul Train, and he saw Jeffrey Daniels do it, and so he reached out, and Jeffrey got. The story is he got one of his guys to teach him, a guy named Casper, but Michael was always watching, and that was the thing. He always trying to, incorporate different things and aspects of music and dance into what he was doing. God bless. Shout out to the great Bruno Papentaco Falcone,
Yes,
who was,
absolutely.
one of his
Yes.
choreographers and dance
Huge.
teachers, and to Jeffrey Daniels himself, who was the choreographer for most of the videos that he has popping in.
Yes.
And so he was very interested in always incorporating what was the latest thing or the hottest thing at the moment. I mean, think about it. The most people that learned anything about the funky robot saw Michael do it.
Facts. Yeah, it's true, And if you didn't carry on pursuing it, you would have learned at least a move. He was like, he was a magnet, wasn't he?
Yeah. And the thing about it is, if you look back,
Crazy.
Michael Jackson did, like, he not only did he could dance, he did his imitation of always his greatest inspiration is James Brown. But he learned jazz, he learned tap, he learned African. He knew a little bit of everything. He learned locking, he learned the robot, he learned popping. He wanted to be abreast in whatever was happening so that he could add that to his thing. And you see that and if you look at all of the music videos and TV shows and things, that he's always doing something different. When they had the Jacksons TV show when they were younger, they did all kinds of things on their show. And then when they were on other people's shows, the same thing. I think it was Sonny and Cher had their show, and they were on I think a show with Dom DeLuise where they were locking. Like, he was always on point with trying to get into that whatever was popular and hot at the time.
It's the innocence of curiosity, isn't it? Can't never lose that.
Yeah.
Curiosity for yourself and the collective. coming up with ideas or at least being given assignments. How many hours a day did you train?
Well, that's the thing. We didn't train at all.
Really?
That's what I always tell the students this now because they're always talking about training. And I always ask them, what kind of training are you discussing? Because we practiced. We didn't train. We trained our bodies for, to prepare to dance, but we practiced the dance. And our practice was at the club. If we did a music video, after the music video, we went to party.
So you see,
and we danced all night.
so it's part of your just the general lifestyle they're living.
Yeah, we lived what we were doing. It wasn't something separate from what we were doing.
Like it's mad expectation that people have, or at least this elitist kind of, well, we must train because we want to be as good as this person. When actually the most natural, I mean, it's not like it is a sport, but it isn't. There's a social aspect to it, right?
Right.
There's a fine line, but if you can capture that, like you're saying, go to the club straight afterwards, might have a few drinks, wow, heaven forbid, might even get a burger. You know what I mean?
Well, like I try to explain to people, if you look at it from the standpoint of an athlete doesn't just train.
No.
It's a part of their life.
Yes.
They have, Steph Curry, he has his strength training, his weight training, and then he has practice. And then he has his shoot around where he shoots 1,000 shots, before the game starts. So that's a level of dedication that you have to have. You have to believe in what you're doing, and you have to treat what you're doing, with that level of determination. As Albert Einstein says, dancers are the athletes of God. Well, you have to treat yourself like an athlete does. Athletes don't just run out on the field and start playing. No. They warm up. They stretch. Yeah. They have different ways of training, and they practice.
Have you got any injuries?
Oh, several.
Really? What's the worst
Pinch
injury?
nerve.
Pinch nerve?
Torn meniscus, arthritis in this hand.
Wow.
But that's all from, years and years of dancing. I got the pinch nerve because I was years ago, about 25 years ago now, learning how to do a hollow back.
Oh,
and not doing it properly.
Oh, no.
And then
it's brutal.
Tore my meniscus one day after class, after teaching an online class. Just popped, I don't know why. And I went to the doctor recently, and they were like, oh, yeah, you have arthritis in your hand. That's why it's always cramping up. And, it's... For me, it's just an example of, life.
Yeah.
And you have to, again, do your due diligence to circumvent certain things. So I always stretch before every class. I have specific exercises that we do during my warm-up to prepare my knees to dance. I do acupuncture for my
Fantastic, yeah.
my pinch nerve, so it doesn't bother me and it's no longer a factor. And I take specific supplements that help with my joints so that I don't get arthritis. You got to really take yourself seriously in that aspect.
And hope as you get older you don't have any, long-term damage.
Well, like I try to tell the youngest now, if you prepare now, you won't have this later.
How's it going with the tour at the moment? Because you're teaching.
It's been going
studies.
great. The last 2 days I was at a place in Manchester called Shock Out, and I taught 2 lessons up there. Shout out to Clara for making this happen, and I got to meet their students at their academy, and it was really nice.
Right.
And I started out in Spain, then I did an event and taught in the Czech Republic, then I did classes in Paris, and then in Switzerland, in Germany, and then I came here, and then I leave tomorrow to finish up the tour in Amsterdam.
Yo, just in time.
Yeah.
How are you finding England?
This was the first place that I've ever visited internationally.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I came to the UK. And the funniest thing about it is, we came to the UK, this is back in 1989. We were supposed to do a tour with Diana Ross because we had just shot a music video with her.
That's
And
a Chain Reaction era, right?
I don't even
Something
know.
like that.
But we did the music video. She loved the video and she wanted some dancers, so they got 5 of us and we got on a plane, came to the UK. They didn't get us work visas, so we couldn't do the
Oh,
tour.
stop.
So when we got here, they allowed us to stay one night, and then we had to fly back the next day. And we went to a club right here in Piccadilly Circus.
No way.
Right here, and we went and we partied at this joint all night, and then the next morning we flew back to New York. And that was the start of, that was the very first international trip that I ever took. It was coming here, and we got to right where I am now, right up the street. There was a club, and we went there, we partied there all night, and then they shipped us home the next
The
day.
irony.
Yeah. It's a full circle moment.
That is a full circle moment. I'm proud to be a part of that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I always laugh when I come, and when I came now, and I saw the hotel was right here, and I was like, how apropos. Like,
Yeah.
this is the first place that I ever visited, and I'm staying here. And then when I come here, and when I meet up with young lady Marta, who brought me. I'm thinking we're going somewhere, and she's bringing. And I'm like, I'm right here. Okay. As soon as I came, I was like, this is really a full circle moment.
Yeah, meant to
I'm
be.
staying in Piccadilly, and this is the first place that I visited, and yeah.
And the rest is in a podcast. Arts Arcade, of course. Hail it up, Piccadilly Circus. But a stretch. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, my brother.
Thank you for having me.
It really means a lot. Getting some intel, history, and more.
Thank you.
My guy. Killa Kela podcast, outlighting was out of fashion, serves you all right. Remember, crime don't pay, but neither do they. All right? Don't talk to anyone I wouldn't. You stay lucky. Peace.
Peace.
That was so good.
Thank you.
Oh, man.